Okay, this is what happens when you love the wheel. And so now, what I'm going to do is clean up and start the reclaim process. I've been itching to do this. I hope the angle is good enough. Couldn't get my big backyard in at the same time. So, I had to pick up some garbage cans. This has all been piling up since about April. When I started working on stock in the shows. So we're going to start with a bunch of water. And we're going to take our rings off, which would be a smart thing to do. And then we start throwing all of the dry clay pieces in. And one of these garbage cans is going to be white. And one of these garbage cans is going to be for iron rich. Darks, browns. And I'll probably find another bin for any of my black clay. So basically you're going to put a whole bunch of water in the bucket, and I don't know if I can bring you to see. Get inside of here. Okay, not very good light. We're basically going to cover any of our dry clay in water. And all the dry clay, and I think it all dried out. My pots of slop, everything, it got warm and everything dried out on me. So we're going to probably 3/4 fill this bucket. And anything that seems white, seems dry, is going to go in. And there's a lot of it because you get going on the wheel and then the cleanup time is really not calculated in all the time. Kind of fun, actually. These should be broken up, but I'm just going to cover it all with water. And then if I have any left that is slop, I'll put it in after this is rehydrated. I'm going to turn the water off. Water off, we'll put it in the other bucket. And once I clean enough of this up, we bring the other bucket in and we put all of that red clay, dark clay in it. So, they're back. And I've been itching to get this cleaned up for a very long time. All sorts of bowls that I could use at the wheel. Whoops. Clean up my reclaiming slab, make a couple more reclaiming slabs so that I can use up all of this super valuable clay and reclaim it while the weather is warm. Bag it up while it's still quite soft because it'll stiffen up over time and I never get to it right away. go another bowl. Another bowl. And making sure that there isn't iron rich on the bottom, I'll put it in my hand first and then put it in. And then I have my bowls left for the wheel. Okay, that's black clay. This, oh my God, a bucket full of slop. I think that's iron rich though. Put that aside. There's a bucket of porcelain. But that's soft, so that'll go in after. Here is another bowl of porcelain. Porcelain slops. Nope. No iron, no red clay, another bowl. There, there. And very quickly, this goes from being a huge mess to nice and tidy. Iron rich. Nope, some iron in there. Some dark clay in there. I think that is Pullman Ragu slop. So that's iron rich. Iron rich. I think there's some there. Not sure. Porcelain. There's another good bowl for the wheel. Flipping it upside down, making sure. All whites. Everything has to be clean before I get back on the wheel and make another mess. So now overnight, this will all sort of, and actually, that doesn't look like white clay. So we're going to take that out. Okay. It's hard to tell. Once it gets some water, it goes a little bit brown. So, wipe this off. Clean up a spot. Bring in another bucket. Turn the water back on. And then, again, once we get a little bit of water in here, we start dumping our iron riches in. No, I shouldn't do that because plaster absorbs water, but it needs to be cleaned off. So, we'll do that. And the nice thing about doing this outside in your back deck is that you can come along. If you have a room you do this in, then you have to sweep or something. And so this is usually where I mix my plaster too, because I can come in and hose it off. So there we go. Iron rich. Empty bucket. This one I'm not sure, but if I'm not sure, it's better to go in with the iron riches. Another bowl. Okay, so another bowl. And I know this seems like a long, daunting video, but you know what? This is what happens every time we throw a batch of 10, we got a bowl of slop to deal with. And the idea was to deal with it every single time and not leave it. I'll cut myself. And then of course the next most dangerous thing is if any tools were left in the water that you can get cut. So the next thing is, once it's reclaimed, I take something that's not my hand through it to slowly look for any tools. I'm missing a small metal rib, and that metal rib would slice my hand right open if I found it with my hand. Black should keep it like black clay, but I'm just going to put it in with the iron riches. And it's slop. I should have put it on top, but oh well. Turn the water off because it's getting quite full. Now, if there's any extra water on top after it's finished reclaiming overnight, you can take some of that off. But I like to mix it in and mix it nice and smooth. Okay. Get rid of the hose. Wet. Dry in a big bucket. Hey. Normally they pop out. That is so funny. That's why I do this before I have a shower. There we go. There. And this is a bucket I really need. Okay. Bucket. Another plaster slab that we use for reclaiming. We don't want to put it on the water. It'll absorb it. Defeats the purpose. Now let's see if we can get this one out without hurting myself. Now, it's actually better to let these things dry out than to dig your hands through. However, I want to get to work tomorrow. And so besides doing shop deliveries, this needs to be done. Another iron rich. That's wet, so we'll put that in after. Porcelain wet, put it in after. That's wet. And that's porcelain. And that's porcelain. Bucket. Go. And we very quickly go from piles of slop to not too bad. Let's see if we can do this anyways, because I am busy tomorrow. Oh, this is red clay, dark clay, black clay, Coleman raku. This is a big bucket that I put everything into. Okay. See, I haven't been able to find my buckets. Here they are. Here's another one. And when the clay's been sitting in water a while, it gets really stinky. It smells moldy and yucky. I don't know if I can lift this one in. Now, I put too much water in. Okay, picking some water out. Now, we've got one more bucket of iron, and the rest is porcelain. So, okay, it's good. And we want lots of water on top because it can evaporate, and we don't want the big buckets to dry out. So once everything mixes up really well, if there is water that settles on top, then I take that off. And then I start reclaiming. This is very much black clay. Again, it's probably going to overflow. Too soft. Take it out. And that I'm going to let dry out. That's a hard one to do. Okay. Now I'm going to dump the rest of these porcelains in and rinse the deck off, and then I can feel like I cleaned up. And I hope that was slip because it felt like something different, but that'll keep it interesting. We never know when we reclaim. And this most certainly should not have been used for slop, but I did. That gets washed up. Again. Last one. Because it's soft, I'm going through really gently in case I come across a tool. I'm not digging, I'm just moving my hand really slowly and gently. Normally we would do this the morning after it's all reclaimed up. But, well, that's it. Deliveries, errands, and back to work. Okay, so we've got one bucket left. It's got to dry out a little bit or something because I can't quite dig it out. Now we rinse off the deck. Ouch. Rinse the deck off. And like magic, it's all clean. Except not quite like magic. And then every time I'm done on the wheel, I can dump my bowl of slop into whichever pot it belongs in. And as I have time, and I'm going to make a new reclaiming slab in the next couple of days, that I can simply throw it on the reclaiming slab and then reuse my scraps, keeping it recycled. Water my tree on my way out. And there we go, nice and clean. What's left will dry up. And as I slip this out. There. Then we have our nice clean deck again. And we will wait for these to reclaim out, mix them up, take out any extra water on top. We'll filter off all those little bits that are going to float to the top. We'll scoop those out with a little mesh sieve. And we'll blend it all up. Because right now it's got, actually the water is only about a hand, if that deep. The clay is actually all the way up. And a pug mill would be awesome. Till then, this is my back workspace. And so as we come through, where I stock all of my supplies, my feet are wet. I'm going to put this down. And this is where all my supplies are. Backlight isn't very good. Clay, bisqueware, glazes over there. All of my tools are in these toolboxes. Stock shelves, not very good. Best light. Buttons. There's a bag of plaster there because I'm going to make a new reclaiming slab. See? More clay. Come along here. My firing area. 2 big kilns. Onto my carport with all my other mess. And that clay will get slabbed up and dried out on tables and then thrown in buckets of water like that. And then we come into the house. Little workspace, so I'll eventually either have show space or a washer and dryer here. My desk and my wheel.